Rebirth of a Woman by u/TrueGod92 r/scary stories. I was born in 1652 to a poor woman who didn't make it through my birth and died shortly after my first screams. Being a widower, my father raised me the best he could, in the only way he knew, on a boat on the open sea. I was looked down on for not being a boy, but that never bothered me. I was just as good, if not better, than most of my father's fishing crew, and they knew it. Being good on a fishing boat was good for a time, but I wanted something more. I wanted to be part of the fishing trade. I wanted to be part of the shipping trade. My own ship and crew. I wanted to sail the seas. That was easier said than done. No one wanted a girl to board their ship, for it was considered bad luck or a curse. They said I'd bring them bad luck or, worse, death. Idiots. I sailed with my father for 17 years. Not once did he have a problem on the waters. So I did the only thing I could do to think of. I lied. I took clothes from a crew member on my father's ship and cut my hair. Then I bound my chest with rags to finish the look. When I approached the mighty ship, no one spared a passing glance at me, so I thought my plan had worked. It did for a few weeks, until I fell sick. The open sea was much more hellish than local waters. Laying in my cot with fever, the captain's hand came to check on me. With my fever, it slipped my mind to keep my chest covered. It didn't take long for my secret to come out. Once I was found out, I was thrown under deck and locked up, so the captain and crew could talk about what would be done with me. It didn't take them long to come to a conclusion of my fate. I woke up to the captain slamming the jail door open, grabbing me up from the floor, with a terrible smile on his face. I began to beg to tell me what he was doing to me, and all he could say was, "To the sea." He tossed me to the floor of the upper deck, laughing all the while. Screaming in pain and fever, I begged him to just let me be, and I'd never return to his ship. All he did was grunt and smile as the crew held me down, stripped me naked, and used my rags to bind my legs and feet together. To quiet my screaming, the captain forced one of the smaller cannonballs into my mouth, breaking my jaw and making it so all I could do was sob silently. Then they tossed me over the side of the ship. My fate was sealed. I was to drown, legs bound, jaw broke, and weak with fever. I tried to scream, but the ball was lodged tight. Using my hands with strength I had, I tore my jaw open, ripping the skin off my cheeks, blood flowing, clouding my vision. I lost consciousness. Waking sometime later, I felt an amazing pain not only in my face but my whole being. My eyes clouded with the salt of the sea. I just laid upon the rock I washed up on, crying to myself till I fell back to sleep. Sometime later, I awoke to a rasping voice calling out to my name. By name. Hearing this, I went to stand, but found my legs still bound. Reaching down to untie myself, I come to find I was no longer bound by rags, but by my own skin melting into itself, forming a single appendage, a tail fin like that of a shark. Crying out, I heard my own sobs as deep, hoarse wails. Feeling stinging in my jaw and cheeks, I began dragging myself to the water to look at my face. With doing so, I seen what I had done to myself, prying my mouth open. Jagged gashes on each side of my once beautiful face caused me to take the appearance of some deep water fish from hell. Shocked, all I could do was sit and stare at my new features. Then a new face, just as broken and sad as mine, came to the surface of the water. Breaking my trance, this thing that was once a woman, as well, began to speak. Her voice was rough yet soothing. She explained how she too was thrown overboard for the simple reason of being a woman on a ship, just as I had been. She told me how the sea had claimed us and gave us new life. We are no longer human, no longer bound to the land. We were something new, something powerful and wicked. We are mermaids, and we are what's going to take the sea back from men, to clean it of this new scum that roams it for their own greed and hateful purpose. Taking my hand, she pulled me into the water before I could take a saving breath. Thrashing around, reaching for the surface, she took my face and smiled a sickening smile, and took in a deep breath, realizing it, to show we were more than able to breathe just as a fish could. Doing so, I felt the cold, salty water rush to my lungs, burning my throat raw from screaming. Swimming behind her, I could see a ship in the distance. Coming closer, I came to understand it was the same ship I was tossed from. Smiling, my new friend turned to me and swam to the surface to a near rock and sat upon it. Turning her eyes to me, she pointed to all the others, just like us, on nearby rocks, eyes glowing, watching the ship. All at once they began to sing. The sound they produced was horrible and haunting, but yet beautiful. Hearing it, my ears burned and my chest was tight. My friend looked to me and nodded. I realized she wanted me to sing as well. Opening my mouth, seawater poured out with a sound not meant for human ears. But to me, it was beautiful and calming. Singing our song, I seen the ship coming towards us. The closer it got, the louder we sang. Then all at once we stopped and watched as the ship smashed into the very rocks we sat on. Watching the ship sink, I seen some of the men try for the rocks to save themselves from our watery grave. My new sisters made short work of them, gouging their eyes out and tearing at their throats, killing them with no mercy. Seeing this didn't make me sick, but made me excited. Grabbing my hand, my friend took me to him, the captain who wanted my death. Laying on part of the ship, gasping for air, seeing him alive sent rage, pain, and hate to my heart. Swimming to him, I did what my body told me. I pulled his lower jaw from his head, watching blood pour from what was left of his mouth. Laughing a deep, rough laugh, I placed his jaw on top of my head like a crown, wearing it with pride and joy. To this day, we swim and search for those in need of punishment or a helping hand. We grow each day and kill those who stand against us.